Messi versus Lamine Yamal, Argentina versus Spain. This is going to be your World Cup final preview. We'll be talking predicted team tactics, what to expect from both teams, and at the end, I'll talk about my prediction. Who do I think is going to win the World Cup? As always, please don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And let's get into it. So, Argentina obviously plays Spain. It's the last game of the World Cup. It's the game that we all look forward to. One team is going to be crowned champions of the world, and is it going to be Argentina for the second time, or is it going to be Spain for the first time in 16 years? It's going to be an interesting game. It's going to be a class game. Now let's get into talking about it. So the first thing I want to start off by talking about is obviously Argentina. They're probably, you would say, the favourites going into the game because of their performances throughout the tournament and also them being the winners. Now Argentina are unbeatable throughout this tournament. They haven't lost any games. They're a team that's played a lot of good football, and they've had to dig deep. You know, they might not play a sort of attractive football as a Spain, but they do play a very good brand of football. And I think the way that Scaloni's got them setting up, they've played in a way in which to get the best out of Lionel Messi. And they're looking like a very, very good team. You know, they're good on the ball, they're good defensively, attacking-wise, they're very, very strong. And I think they're a team that does have a lot of confidence going into the game, as they should. You know, yes, there's been a few, you would say, downs, you know, struggling to beat Cape Verde, taking them to extra time, similar to Egypt. There was a lot of controversy, obviously, in that game. But again, you look how Argentina play, you look at the players, you look at the quality. They're a really, really good team, and they're a team that does dominate possession. They've got a very good foundation with the defence. Yes, they can see goals, but that defence is very, very solid. Into midfield, you know, they've got hard-working, technical, quality players. And then in the attack, they've got one of the best players in the world who can come up with a moment of brilliance out of nowhere. So, listen, they're a very good team. They're definitely one of the favourites. Well, at the start of the World Cup, they were one of the favourites to win it, and ultimately they have made it to the final. Now, in terms of how they're going to set up, they've been setting up with a 4-4-2, and they don't really play with natural wingers. They're a team that either sometimes it's Rodrigo de Paul out on the right and McAllister on the left, or these sort of things. Obviously, they do have Simeone, who's the only real natural winger they have in the team. Obviously, Messi somehow drifts, or sometimes drifts to the right-hand side. That's where he's been prolific for so many years, but he plays more further forward with his age, and he's more closer to goal that way. But yeah, they don't really play with wingers. Now, in terms of the team that I've gone for, Emi Martinez obviously got a back four of Melina, Romero, Lisandro Martinez, and Nicolas Tagliafico. The four across the midfield, I think it'd be McAllister, Paredes, Rodrigo de Paul, and Simeone. And you look at that midfield, I think that's a very, very good technical midfield. You know, you have McAllister as the base, you have the energy of Rodrigo de Paul, you've got McAllister in there. Oh no, sorry, Enzo Fernandez will be in there. Enzo Fernandez, McAllister, Rodrigo de Paul, and Simeone. I think Paredes will be on the bench. And then the front two is Messi, and I think you start Julian Alvarez from the performance. I think Alvarez will offer you that bit more pace, that bit more quality. Then Lautaro Martinez, and Martinez can come on towards the end of the game. Obviously, the main player that they'll be looking for from an Argentinian perspective would obviously be Lionel Messi, and what a player he is. He's proven it at the World Cup time and time again. The quality that he has in the final third, the moments of brilliance, the goals, the assists. Again, if Argentina do win the World Cup, I mean, what has Messi not then achieved in football? You know, back-to-back World Cups, multiple Ballon d'Ors. He'll be on the track for his 9th Ballon d'Or, and I think he is doing as much as he can in this World Cup. There's been a lot of criticism, I would say, of him in terms of walking around the pitch and all that sort of thing, but you can't deny the quality that he's been and the performances that he's been putting in for this Argentina team, because they have been very impressive. Now, in terms of Spain, listen, Spain, very, very good on the ball. We've proven it against France. If you can't have the ball, you can't do anything. And Spain, obviously the second rated team in the world at the moment. They're a very good team. They play very good football. They've been very impressive throughout the World Cup. Obviously have actually drawn a game to Cape Verde, but other than that, they've been obviously unbeaten. Again, that game against France was just the one that kind of put the ice on the top for them. They were unbelievable in that game. Yes, you can say France had an off day, but Spain were absolutely class. The way in which they sort of suffocated France, didn't allow them to get any of their best players in the game. Rodri conducting the play, defensively very sound, and they've only conceded one goal throughout the tournament, which is to Charles de Ketelaere from Belgium, which is really quite impressive. Defensively, they've been very solid. That back four of Kubazi, Laporte, Cucurella and Porro has been very, very solid. The goalkeeper hasn't really had much to do, but when he has been called upon, he's been pretty decent. Obviously, we know in the midfield, is it going to be Rodri, Fabian Ruiz, I'll talk about my predicted team, and then you've also got Lamine Yamal. So they've got a very, very good team. And in terms of what I think from from a Spanish perspective, obviously Unai Simon in goal, Porro, Kubazi, Laporte, Cucurella, Rodri. He has to go with Fabio Ruiz. I love Pedri. I think he's a fantastic player. But Fabio Ruiz's performance in that game was unbelievable. And he started all 49. No, he's played 49 games for Spain. Hasn't lost one. Then in the number 10, you could go Dani Olmo, front three of Baena, Yamal, and Oyarzabal. And it's really the moment for Yamal. It's Yamal versus Messi ultimately. That's what sort of it is. I think Messi is someone who's coming towards the end of his career. Yamal's just getting started. Two very good players, two players who can still decide games for their respective nations. And I think Yamal's going to be someone who does have an impact in this game. Hopefully, big game player. I think in terms of my prediction, just lastly, I'm going to go for a Spain win. I mean, the way in which Spain control the ball, they probably will get a goal, and they suffocate teams. They don't allow teams to get the ball, and their possession starts to unbelievable. So I'm going to back Spain to get the job done. But let me know your thoughts, your predictions in the comments, and who do you think is going to win. In terms of score prediction, I'm going to go 3-2 Spain, but you never know. It could go either way. Again, it's just a prediction. It's just a guess, so please don't get on to me in the comments. But yeah, let me